Hi everyone, welcome to another LoveTech video today. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite photography that I've taken throughout the years. I've been an avid photographer ever since I was a little kid, and that passion for photography has only grown as I have gotten older. So again, today we're going to be looking at some of my favorite photography, which you can find out on my website at lovelandscapes.net and also out on my Etsy store available for purchase. So let's get started. So as I mentioned in the intro to this video, I've had a passion for photography my whole entire life, and I've mentioned this in prior videos as well when I was reviewing some cameras. So I wanted to take today and talk to you guys a little bit about some of my actual photography and talk a little bit about different pictures. And again, if you have questions or anything, leave them down below and I'd be happy to answer them for you. So starting out with my first picture I wanted to talk about today is the one behind me. I'm going to cycle through them on the monitor behind me here and also kind of put them up on the screen while I'm talking about them so you can see them in a little bit greater detail. So this picture that I'm going to first talk about here is one that I took back in 2013. It was on the 4th of July, and it was one of my first pictures that I actually used long exposure on. If you don't know what long exposure is, it means leaving the shutter or aperture open on your camera to let light and motion into the frame as your camera is capturing it. So basically think of it as a video compiled onto an image. So that's what I did in this picture here. This was, I believe, a 5-second exposure, and you can see the firework in the background here that went up. And again, you know, a firework takes a matter of a few seconds, so that's why, again, I had to use a long exposure in this case. Long exposure photography isn't anything new by any means. Long exposure photography has been around for a long time, even in the days of film cameras. I have used long exposure shots in some of my other photography as well, but this is one of my most favorite pictures that I have actually taken with long exposure just because it was so beautiful. Most of my pictures I do basic color correction on in like post-processing, like in Affinity Photo or Photoshop. This one has actually zero. Yeah, that's right, zero editing done to it. This is exactly how the camera captured it. It looks so stunning to me, and the colors and the way it turned out, I didn't need to even edit it. Moving on to my next picture I want to talk about is this wheat field. Now this wheat field, I took this picture around sunset. This was back in my old hometown in Sublimity. It's a little tiny country town out in basically the middle of nowhere, and this was just right at the end of our street, and that night there was this big thunderstorm cloud that was out towards the mountains, and it was just really beautiful. So I took this picture with the sun coming in from the west looking off towards the east with these thunderstorm clouds, and I absolutely love this picture. I think it's really beautiful how the sunlight was captured on the wheat with the differentiating colors in the background with the dark clouds and the light orangey beautiful wheat. And this picture is also available out on my website. In fact, all the pictures I'm going to show you today are out available on my website for purchase and or in my Etsy store. The next picture I want to talk about is the one here. This one actually I edited quite a bit in Photoshop, where I actually took 2 layers. I do this quite a bit with some of my photography, where I take a subject and I keep the color in that and then make the rest of the photo black and white so the subject pops. In this case, it's a ladybug. You can see it right about there on that piece of wheat. And this was taken the same night I took that wheat picture that I just showed you before. I really love this picture because it shows just how small this bug is and how vibrant it really was in contrast, especially when we extracted the color out of the photo. It's one of my favorite techniques to use when taking photography. Moving on to my next photo that I want to talk about, this is a harbor scene I took back in 2014. It's a really pretty picture. It was in the morning down actually in Bandon, Oregon, if you know where that is. It's a really beautiful harbor down there. If you've never been to Bandon before, I highly suggest it. There's some really cool rock formations there. I've taken lots of sunset pictures there as well throughout the years, so go check it out. The next picture I'm going to show you guys is something really interesting. It was caused by a really cool weather phenomenon. I'm going to actually bring it up here, and I'm going to have you guys take a guess what caused this. Write it down below in the comments. All right, well, if you guys give up, it was actually caused by freezing fog. Back in about 2014, we got about 2 or 3 weeks straight of freezing fog. And throughout time, what happened was the condensation from the fog slowly built up and accumulated on surfaces. So it wasn't just like on fences or metal surfaces that this happened. It actually happened on plants and grass and all kinds of stuff around our house. So I went outside and took this picture. I think it looks really cool. It reminds me of like barbed wire fencing, even though it's not barbed wire fencing. I actually have another cool picture of this. It's the next one I'm going to show you guys. This one was actually a picture of that same freezing fog phenomena that actually took place on some leaves on a plant. I actually call this picture razor leaves because it kind of looks like a Venus flytrap, if you've ever seen that before. It kind of looks like these leaves are going to close something in on them, and then they have sharp teeth because of the weather phenomena that happened and took place because of that. I mentioned before I took some really cool pictures in Bandon, one of being a really cool sunset. I actually have this one printed out as well. It was a really gorgeous night. So the sun was illuminating the foreground really nice in this shot, and I really like that. And I really like how the reflection was captured off the water. Again, this one was taken in Bandon, Oregon as well. Next, I'm going to move into talking about some of my pictures I recently took up at a tulip festival in Woodburn, Oregon. Now, I did this last spring before all of this whole quarantine thing happened and everyone can't go anywhere. So the tulip festival, unfortunately, was canceled this year. So I was really glad I got to go up there last year and take pictures of the tulip festival. So I have 4 shots here that I'm going to show you guys. It's really pretty. This is the first shot that I have to show you guys. This picture is absolutely phenomenal. I really love the way that this one tulip was standing out in front of all the rest of the tulips in the field, and it was just a phenomenal picture in my mind. I have this one printed on metal, and again, it's available out on my website. The second picture of the tulip festival I want to show is this one here. This one I call peeling orange. The reason why I call this picture peeling orange is because the petal on this tulip is starting to like fade back because the tulip is done blooming. So it looks like somebody's peeling an orange off of sort of like a flower. So that's why I named it peeling orange. I really love this picture. It's really bold, vibrant colors, and the orange against the green makes a really nice contrast. The third picture I'll show you of the tulip festival is this one here. I call this one Buzzy Bee. This picture I took of a bee inside of a really vibrant purple tulip, and I really love it as well. And finally, the last tulip picture I'm going to show you guys is this one here. This tulip picture I call Field of Love because it captures the red, purple, and pink tulips all kind of in one area. So I think of love, Valentine's Day, that type of stuff when I look at this picture. That's why I called it Field of Love. After I went to the Tulip Festival last April, we had the great chance to take a trip to Yellowstone this past summer, so I'm going to show you some of those pictures now. So the first Yellowstone picture I want to show you guys is this one here. Now this picture was taken one of the first mornings we were there. This picture was actually taken just west of the entrance to Yellowstone. This was actually taken in Montana from our cabin. I woke up one morning really early and I took this picture, and I really love it. I call it Prairie Sunrise. It's the sun rising above the Rocky Mountains, and I really love the way the foreground and background was illuminated because of this shot. The sun was just coming up, and it actually woke me up that morning, so I went out and took some pictures of it. So I really love the way this picture turned out. The next picture I want to show you guys is actually a picture of a black bear. I actually have 2 pictures I'm going to show you here of him. This one, he was actually standing up and eating berries off of a bush, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this is like so amazing. Like, just to be able to capture this picture of him with his whole paw around the bush eating the berries off the bush, I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen a bear this close in real life before, out in the wild that is, and it just blew me away. It was one of our first days in Yellowstone this past summer. It was just absolutely phenomenal. A second picture of this I have is him taking a walk, kind of. He was walking away from the berry bush at this point in time, and I thought it was really cool because like I got his paw like up in the air like this and everything, and I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, he's walking away and everything, and you can, if you actually look at the picture itself really closely, you can actually see a tag on him, so he was actually tagged by some wildlife officials, I believe, in the park to kind of keep track of the bear population. So it was really cool that I got such good pictures, such high quality pictures of this bear in Yellowstone, something I never thought I'd be able to take pictures of, especially in the wild. The next picture I want to show you guys is actually a picture I took when we were in the park for the first day. The first day we were in the park, we went to Mammoth Hot Springs and then we drove out to Lamar Valley. Lamar Valley is this ginormous valley. It's about 2 or 3 miles wide and about 9 or 10 miles long, and is just an absolute phenomenal spot. If you've never been there, definitely check it out. It's really beautiful. This picture here I took in Lamar Valley. This is a picture of a bison, and he was actually grazing on some, I guess, grass out in the wild. And if you look in the background here, you can actually see the mountains around the valley. It was just a phenomenal experience, and I had really never been there or never really remembered being there before, because the last time I was to Yellowstone was back in the year of 2000, so it's been like almost 20 years since I had been here. So to be able to get this close to a bison while he was super happy, it was really phenomenal as well. I was probably about 70 or 80 feet away from him here, and I really love this shot because he's just grazing on grass, as I mentioned before, and he just looks really happy. He's just really mellow, and he's having just a great time eating and vegging out on that. The next pictures I'm going to show you guys were actually taken in the southwest corner of Yellowstone National Park. Now these were taken in the Geyser Basin, and these two pictures are actually of like hot spring pools that I took. This one here I really liked because of the bright oranges and reds it popped against the white backdrop. It was just absolutely phenomenal to be able to take a picture of something this beautiful. And then this next picture I took, I called this one Earth Toned Pool, because the colors with the reds, greens, and yellows just remind me of kind of like Mother Nature and the earth in general. And I thought it was really beautiful because, again, you're able to see so many vibrant colors in a pool of water, and that is really hot for that matter, but it's just Mother Nature at its best. And if you've never been to Yellowstone or never been to the pools there or the geysers, I would highly recommend it. It is definitely worth taking the time walking around there and seeing these beautiful sights that Mother Nature has to offer for us. The next picture I took is really phenomenal as well. It was kind of a geyser pool area as well. This picture I took, it just encompassed the whole beautiful blue sky of Yellowstone, just how crystal clear the sky is up there, just Mother Nature at its best, as I mentioned before. And I really loved the beautiful rich orange earth tones that this picture had to offer, and that contrast it had against the sky and the trees in the middle of the picture. The next few pictures I want to show you guys were actually pictures I took in Yellowstone National Park, but they were in a wildlife refuge area, so they weren't actually wild animals, but they were really cool to be able to see the native species of Yellowstone up close. Especially if you don't have a lot of time, I'd highly recommend going to a wildlife refuge area where they have some of these animals in a closer range. That way you can go and see them for yourselves if you don't have a lot of time to spend in the park. So this first picture is a wolf that I took a picture of. I have another picture of them. These were a gray wolf pack, and I just absolutely think they're phenomenal. That's the way these turned out. I actually extracted the color out of this image completely because I thought, oh my gosh, this gray wolf just is so beautiful. It doesn't need color to be able to show how beautiful it was, and I almost felt that the green backdrop on this picture kind of took away from the meaning and symbolism of the wolf having gray and black tones, so I felt it was necessary to extract and get rid of the color out of this specific image. The next one I want to show you guys is a picture of the same wolf pack. One of the wolves drinking water out of a pond of water, and I really love this picture because if you look up close here, you can actually see the water droplet coming off of his tongue, and I extracted all the color out of this image as well, except for the color of his tongue and the yellow in his eye. The next picture I'm going to show is actually a few pictures of some birds I took. So this picture I took again in Yellowstone National Park of a golden eagle up on a branch. I was able to get up really close to this one, and you can actually see just like the full color in its eye, and I absolutely love this picture. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal picture. And I have a bald eagle as well, this next picture here, where he's actually spreading his wings out and like ruffling his feathers after he was taking a bath in some water. So he was just cleaning himself after he flew up and got onto this big log. The next picture I'm showing here on the screen behind me is actually a raven I took a picture of on a branch in Yellowstone National Park. Now this one, he was pretty close to me. I would say probably about 10 or 15 feet up in a tree above me. I was able to capture some really cool lighting on him from the sky, the blues in him, that is. So what I actually did in this picture is I extracted all the color out of the picture except for the blue in his feathers. So you're actually able to see the blue reflection from the sky onto his feathers. And I really think that makes a really cool dynamic shot as well here. I was also able to capture this really cool bison in Yellowstone National Park. This was not in Lamar Valley. This was in a different valley where they have herds and herds of bison, just wild, walking across the road. So I was actually taking this picture out of a car window. We were driving right past him. He was probably about 6 feet from our car. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm this close to this bison. And I really love the way he was just standing there on the road looking at us. The last picture I want to show you guys from Yellowstone National Park is this one here. This picture is a picture of a ginormous grizzly bear that they have in captivity, actually. He was turning over a log while there were these ravens kind of cawing around him, and I thought it was really cool. Just I captured him in the moment as he was trying to flip a log over with his nose to be able to get food under it. And that's all for the Yellowstone pictures I have that I want to show you guys. Next, I'm going to switch to Seattle. So Seattle, as you guys may know, is me and my husband's one of our favorite places to actually go and take pictures and be able to hang out and go do some really cool stuff. So this next picture here is a picture of some really cool circular buildings in downtown Seattle with a monorail going underneath them. So what I did in this picture is I actually got rid of all the color except for the blue sky. So if you look at the picture really closely, everything else is black and white in the picture completely. It's just the sky, the beautiful, phenomenal blue sky against these gray kind of mono-esque buildings and the monorail. I thought it kind of captured that essence of concrete against the sky, so kind of like nature versus city, and I really love this picture because of that. These next few shots I want to talk about are pictures I took in Seattle as well at the zoo there. Now these pictures I really love because I was able to capture some really cool birds, and I was able to I really love taking bird pictures for that matter. This picture here is actually not a captivated blue heron. This actually, I have some other pictures of this. This is actually a wild blue heron that actually flew into the penguin exhibit at the Seattle Zoo. I have some other shots that are zoomed out more that you can actually see the penguins behind a blue heron. So it's like, when are you ever gonna see that in your lifetime where there's a heron and a bunch of penguins behind this blue heron? I mean, blue herons and penguins don't ever live side by side with each other, so I thought it was a really cool shot because knowing that there are penguins right behind the pool of water here and this blue heron standing in front of the water, I thought it was like absolutely cool. I was very blown away by being able to capture something like this. The next picture I'm going to show you guys that I took at the zoo was this flamingo picture. Now this flamingo picture you've probably seen on my website, and I honestly love this picture. This is like so amazing to me to be able to capture flamingos. I'm hoping one day I can actually go to like a place like Florida and be able to actually capture pictures like this in the wild, but for this instance this was good enough for me. I really love the way this picture turned out and the way that the lighting was. The backdrop actually was really that dark. They were kind of standing in this grove of trees, and I thought it was really beautiful just the way the sun was hitting them in this exact moment. The next picture on my list is this one here. Now this picture is really cool. This is actually a sea eagle. Yes, a sea eagle. It is the Russian version of an eagle that lives at the ocean in Russia, believe it or not. So it's actually called a sea eagle. I thought this was a really cool shot and just a really cool animal in general because I never knew this species A existed, and also I never really knew that there were other types of eagles that were really outside of the United States. For that matter, I never knew that like Russia had eagles and it was a different variant and it lived at the ocean. And I thought also this picture was really cool because a sea eagle, the beak on it is a little bit more orange, kind of like what a an actual seagull has. This is a sea eagle. So I thought it was really interesting how the beak and talons on this bird were very seagull-ish, and yet the rest of the bird looked very much like a actual eagle. The feathers on it were much more ruffled as well and tufted, and I thought that was very cool as well to be able to kind of see such a big difference in a bird, and especially a bird that I'd never seen, and I never knew that specific species of that bird existed before. The next picture on my list I wanted to show you guys is this one of the Space Needle I took at night. Now people probably think, oh, I went in and edited this picture a lot. No, I actually didn't. The way my camera captured this shot at night was really cool because there was some really good lighting on the trees. It was fall time here in this picture, and the trees really were that red, and the way the lighting turned out in this picture I thought was phenomenal because it was like against the dark night sky, and this bright red tree next to that dark night sky was really cool, and I really liked taking this picture. I really thought it turned out really well. The last two pictures I want to show you guys here today are pictures I took just south of my house here in Albany, Oregon, down in Brownsville. So Brownsville is very famous for sheep, so I captured a few really cool pictures of some sheep out in a field near Brownsville. This one here is a mother and her little lamb calf, and I really like this picture a lot because I was actually banging out the window of a car, and the mother sheep was talking back to me, so I thought it was really funny. And you can actually see the grass in her mouth. She was like opening her mouth up and like banging back at me when I was banging her. I thought it was really funny, and then just the way the little lamb is standing right next to her mother, I thought it was really cool, and just the way I was able to capture this picture. Another picture I got of a sheep is a little baby lamb laying out in a field like falling asleep. This was again taken right from my car window, so it just goes to prove that you don't have to really go that far out in nature or even walk on a trail to be able to take some really cool pictures of wildlife. So this lamb was again falling asleep in the field, and I thought it was really funny just because there was no other sheep or lambs around. It was a really stark contrast with the grass around the sheep here. The last two pictures I wanted to show you today are ones that I took on the way back from taking pictures of these sheep in the field. These pictures are actually of, yes, 11 bald eagles in one tree. I call it convocation of eagles. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the term convocation, that's what you call like a flock or a herd of eagles, a convocation, a big gathering of eagles. So yes, there are in fact 11 bald eagles. These are juvenile bald eagles. So it just goes to show that the eagle population in the Willamette Valley is really starting to come back and thrive again after years and years of them being almost extinct. And it's really nice to be able to see that they're starting to come back and, you know, really healthy and really strong. Just seeing this many juvenile eagles in one tree just driving along the road was just something just absolutely blew me away. I was like, oh my gosh, are those eagles? And I looked more and more at them through my camera lens, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 11 eagles in one tree. Like, when am I ever going to see that again in my life? I have a zoomed out version of this picture as well. You can kind of see the tree off to the right hand side in this picture, and again you can see all 11 eagles just perched in that one tree. So I really thought that was a cool picture, and I again never thought in my whole entire life I'd ever see something quite as cool as that, being able to see 11 eagles in one tree. And that does it today, guys, for this video. I hope you really enjoyed learning a little bit more about the specific photography shots that I've taken that are available out on my website and Etsy store for purchase, and I really hope you enjoyed looking at them. If you do have any questions about the pictures or other pictures I've taken or pictures I'm going to take in the future or things that you'd want to see me take pictures of, make sure you leave a comment down below and let me know about those. Again, click the subscribe button at the top of the page, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time in another LoveTech video.